He's angry about mortgages. It's Angry Mortgage. He's swearing. He's cursing loud. He's old. He's opinionated. And he's been doing this so damn long. This program is about mortgages, and this is mortgage advice, but the advice may not apply to your situation. Contact licensed mortgage professionals for specific recommendations before you make decisions about mortgages. You may not agree with Ron, but if you don't, he thinks you're wrong. Oh, and did we say there is a lot of swearing?
Angry Mortgage on the air. We're here.
Back again.
We're ready. I won't say excited because the real estate and mortgage business is not that exciting right now. It's pretty slow.
It depends on who you are.
Well, go ahead. Who's excited? Tell me who's excited.
All the conspiracy theorists are just chomping at the bit, thinking the market's going to crash, but that's...
Yeah.
Come on now.
That's all true.
That's a whole topic.
We got, as always, we got Ron Butler, Ron Mortgage Guy, and Natalie Butler, Realtor Extraordinaire. And it's been if we look back on the week, a couple things happened, but the first thing to say, we like to start out about mortgage rates. So still up.
Still shit.
Still high as hell. And a couple things went just a tiny bit higher on the fixed side. A couple random terms, a couple lenders, tiny bit, not big. About 5 basis point increases. But bottom line is there's one, maybe two, maybe three people in Canada with a 499 high ratio. And just so you understand that, folks, that's when you're buying for less than 20% down. You got to be under $1 million. It's government insured. You pay a huge premium, probably $26,000. So anybody thinks, why are they getting the best deal? It's because they're paying a huge premium. But that rate is about, I'd say there is probably a little bit of 499 left of that.
Wow.
But there's mostly 509, 514.
Refresh me. What was the standard, let's say 5-year fix before COVID? What was that?
Well, it was probably about 299.
Okay.
I mean, because it is always the most favored rate. Okay.
Yes.
But then COVID went batshit crazy. It went down
Berserk,
to one. There was, I think, 2 weeks of 0.99, like CMHC insured, high ratio, fixed rates, 5-year. Mm-hmm. That was all just crazy stuff. But so now 499, best rate in Canada.
Because I know 6 weeks ago, I'm like, everybody stop freaking out. We're just at pre-COVID rates. And now we've surpassed that. So,
Oh, anybody who says we're just at pre-COVID rates.
No, that was
shut the
6,
fuck up.
8 weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh my God. No, everybody said pre-COVID. Shut the fuck up. It's never been pre-COVID was there were some rates in the 4s. Sure. Mm-hmm. But I would tell you that pre-COVID, 2019, mostly high 3s.
Yeah.
Okay. And mid 3s. And, but holy shit, we got mostly high 5s and 6s now. Mm-hmm. So that is fuck all relationship to rates that we've seen in the last, we're talking about some bond yields, which drive rates, which drive fixed rates. I think a guy said, well, we hit a point at one point, maybe 10 days ago, maybe a week ago, where I saw one note came up that said, well, this is the highest since 2001.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. No, so there is record highs. We got to realize that here. So rates are still up. Rates are going to stay up. For people who wonder about what's going to happen, nothing much is going to happen in terms of the rates coming down. I mean, we don't see any evidence that in, maybe late, maybe a Christmas gift rates, fixed rates may come down. It's going to be late. It's going to take time.
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be time before rates start to come down. Now, sometimes people come on, social media and say, well, I think the rates are going to 10. You guys are full of shit. They're going to 10. They're not going back down. No, they're not going to 10. Okay.
10 that's a disaster.
10 is the end of the world because what people have to understand is the government has to pay on the debt too. And crazy people also say, well, they'll just raise the taxes. You don't know shit, fat guy. They'll just raise the taxes. No. It's unmanageable. Like everything in our North America, even the United States, I mean, it's just not manageable. Like those days have passed.
Yeah.
Okay. There's not going to be any 10% mortgage rates. Other than private mortgages, like
privates were there for a while.
Yeah, private's been around. That's been high for a while, but but for banks, there's not going to be any 10% mortgages.
Well, that just leads back to we're not buying houses for $57,000 anymore. We're buying houses for $957,000.
The old refrain. Yes, you've got it spot on. When people had 18% interest rates, a bungalow in Scarborough was $109,000.
Yeah.
Okay, like let's face facts.
Some people drive cars worth more than that right now.
Yes, lots of people.
Yeah.
Like too fucking many people are driving too expensive cars. I mean, I'll tell you one thing about Toronto. I think in some ways it's like LA with the cars because I see more luxury cars in this town than most places I could ever imagine.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was at Austin a year ago in September, and what struck me is there's hardly any super expensive cars anywhere.
So your Uber Black wasn't on point.
It was like a Tesla. Tops was a Tesla, or by the way, nobody's afraid of trucks in Texas, right?
No.
So there's trucks and SUVs, but did you see many Porsches running around? There wasn't many Porsches. There wasn't many Maseratis. I didn't see any. Like I drove past a strip mall the other day, and there was a Lamborghini in a parking space. I mean, like, what the hell's going on here? I'm just stopping in to see my dentist and my Lamborghini. Like, sweet Jesus. I mean, that's a lot of expensive cars in Toronto. Just a ton of very expensive cars. Okay, so rates still bad.
Yep.
Mortgage rates bad, high, not going anywhere, not coming down anytime soon. So in reality, we're gonna see some slow times in mortgage world and real estate, right? They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
So what do you see?
Things are becoming stagnant. You still got really hot properties that are always going to sell. It's going to sell if it's half on fire. People are going to snatch them up.
Because that's a specific area.
It's a specific area for a specific type of buyer. They want it. They'll pay whatever they have to for it. And that's it. That's it. But, prime markets like Hamilton, Dundas, which is a part of Hamilton as far as I'm concerned, beautiful homes. They're sitting.
So if we're talking about sort of really kind of famous neighborhoods, those sell. Okay?
Oh, for sure.
Those sell. But if we're talking about...
And it's usually based on school district, to be honest with you.
Sure. We see a lot of that. Yeah, we do see a lot of that.
People buy a piece of dirt, a total teardown, just so that their kids can go to a certain school.
That's a thing, folks out there. I know that for some people, it sounds a little bougie. It does sound a little bougie, but it is... it's real. I know.
And it's usually cultural, too.
And there's some culture to it, too.
Yeah, there is.
So listings are sitting, whereas there was a time when listings never sat.
Realtors are finally realtors again.
Yeah.
You can't just put a sign up and have it gone in 3 days with 16 offers and you sold $200,000 over list. You actually have to be a realtor again, which is exciting. You have to market the property properly. You have to. We're investing in staging again. Before, sometimes you didn't even have time to stage. You didn't even have time. It was just an empty house, maybe a bath mat on the ground, and people would just snatch it up. 25 offers. We're gonna see realtors being realtors again.
Now, how does that? If you have to market a house as opposed to just put a listing up, say coming soon, then put the listing up, it's gone in 3 days. If you have to market a house, that costs money, right?
Oh, definitely, and it's all out of pocket. Usually for the realtor, it's included in your listing. That's why you're paying the commission. So I'd say on minimum without staging, it costs approximately $1,000 to list a house. You've got your sign. You got the dude who puts the sign up. You've got your virtual tour. They've made it mandatory to have square footage. So you get all the
precise square footage, right?
Precise. You can get sued for it. So a lot of us are investing in, they do the floor plans and whatnot. And then,
so you have like a laser system that measures the room, right?
Well, I have a guy I call and he does it.
Okay, gotcha.
I have a laser in my purse. Yeah. Like I can do basic ones. But when you get the virtual tour, there's packages that it all does. You need the video. Yeah. Some realtors, it comes with your virtual tour package. You have your own website for that particular house.
I've seen that, yeah.
And then it was more so online, but you're still investing in, like, again, Hamilton spec ads. Like those are a couple $100, but that gives you the whole online presence because that's what they're offering because it's all linked to this, that, and the next thing.
And if the property sits for a while, you get pressure to do more advertising.
Open houses, the damn cookies for the open houses. It adds up.
This is a time when, and let's say it's a total disaster, and they pull the listing. They just say, "Well, we'll stay in the house for a while."
Yeah.
It's really costing realtors money.
It is. Well, when you think of like the crazy COVID times, like I said, you put a sign on the lawn, if that, and it was just selling. People actually now have to work, and in these crazy multiple offer situations. I don't even know if realtors are doing any research. I'll list it for 800. It sells for 1.2. Like, people are going to pay what they're going to pay. Now you have to research the areas, make sure you're doing your comparables, actually do your fucking job and make sure you know what's going on and price it appropriately with maybe a $10,000 to $20,000 room to wiggle, actually negotiate the offer. Oh, I know a lot of realtors that haven't even negotiated an offer ever in their career.
They just had multiple bids. That's it.
And they were always firm to take the one with the best closing date and the best price.
Yeah.
I actually had, sorry, I'm going to go off on this.
No, this is a real thing.
This was in the height of the craziness, a realtor send me on one of my listings a blank offer. It had signatures on it. And he just said, write what you want on it. I'm like,
fill in the number that buys the house.
Oh, I had to fill in the whole. Well, we didn't work with that offer because that was ridiculous. He didn't know how to fill it in correctly with all the information. Just put what you want in there and that's what my clients will pay. Pardon me, sir. Like those are the people that give our industry like a disgraceful name. It's crazy. I had another realtor, didn't know. So this is now the market's changing, calls me. How do I write a home inspection condition?
Whoa, you kidding me? That's crazy.
Pardon me, you've been a realtor for how long? Oh, 4 years. You've never used a home inspection condition? You don't know how to do it? How?
But that might be possible, right? That's possible. Well,
because we didn't even have time. My personal clients, I do what's called pre-inspections. If we were in a situation where they're going to be in competition, it is still my duty to my client to make sure they know what they're buying. So I would do... a couple of the inspectors I would work with would give me a break on the price because they can be pricey. Yep. They'll come out, take a look at the main points, make sure.
Try to find the worst things that could go wrong. The main points
and give me kind of a break on it because there was no even guarantee you were going to get that house. You're paying $200 for an inspection, hoping to get the house, but you still need to know. You still need to protect your clients.
But other than those choice special neighborhoods with special school districts and I've heard the same thing even from some of our clients who are getting a mortgage have said, well, we've been waiting for a house on the street to come available for years. We do hear that, but it's a small number. So if houses are sitting, and we see far less purchase activity now in the mortgage business, everybody's saying the same thing. As soon as this recent rate jump where fixed rates went up another, so they went from in the 4s to in the high 5s and 6s. We've just heard nothing but it's quiet. It's just quiet. And realtors tell us the same thing, because in a world where we have a 2% stress test, then if you're going to qualify at 8, nobody qualifies. That's it. And yes, there are cash buyers, but they're pretty fussy, and there might be an anticipation of prices going down. So your cash buyer is not going to jump in.
I don't think prices are going to go down, because if you paid X amount for your house and you can make your payments and just stay there, you're going to stay.
Yeah, this is the phenomenon.
We need people to lose their jobs and go into absolute squalor to have this.
We don't wish that on anybody.
And we don't wish that.
Gotta say that. We don't wish it. But
that's the only thing that's going to cause this quote unquote crash. So we're just going to see less activity and prices are going to even out. Another thing is the appraisals. The appraisers
we're seeing appraisal failures again. We are seeing
tighter.
We are seeing appraisal failures. We had appraisal failures like in 2022. We had appraisal failures for a few months in April, May, and then things kind of straightened themselves out. But we did have appraisal
because
failures.
the market leveled out.
Market leveled out. So we had some problems with appraisals then, and now we have problems with appraisals again. They are back. For the audience, we send the appraiser out. People bought the house for $1.2 million. Appraiser says, I think these people were nuts. It's only worth 1.1. That's it.
That's $100,000 difference.
And they got to come up with 100. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. Okay? Because if we base a mortgage on appraisal. We don't base mortgages on purchase prices. So
no, and that's where realtors have to be realtors again too, especially when working with buyers.
To make sure you've got the right price. Yeah.
You go in, you do your research, know what your clients are paying for a house. Yeah. And is this going to appraise through, or am I going to be the most hated person in their life? The person that fucked their entire life up because it came in light.
And that's what it is, folks, because, you purchase a house and you waive all your conditions and then you think you're fine. And the bank says the appraisal came in lousy and you need to find another 100 that you can't find. Someone's going to sue you for the 100. And they're
going to sue you because now the market's changed. They say they sell for less. They can sue you for the difference. And you're definitely losing your deposit.
Oh, yeah. You are.
And deposits are now typically around 5%.
Yeah, no, their deposits are. God, I remember. You remember the days in Hamilton? Maybe
$1,000 deposit, $500
deposit. Yeah. That's so for everybody outside of Ontario, it's Hamilton is a real city. It's a real place. I mean, it just traditionally had low cost real estate, and that's changed a lot. And they had a tradition of very low deposits in Hamilton, like $500 on a. Houses were a lot cheaper too.
Yeah. But now basically everyone's like, well, I don't need my down payment until I close, right? No, you pretty much need the majority of it, especially if you're going high ratio upon signing.
Yeah. You need to know you're there.
Most deposits are in and around 5% of the list price.
So is it fair to say that if this continues, because I know it's true for mortgage brokers and mortgage agents, for the people who are on the periphery, the people who are new or the people who, they were hanging on in 2022 and then they thought things were getting better in 2023, but now things are crappy again. For those mortgage brokers, mortgage agents, and for realtors, real estate agents, if this is a very, very quiet fall, will it drive people out of the business?
Definitely.
Yeah, me too. I think the same thing.
100%.
It'll drive people out of the business.
You still have to eat.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, here's a print report, I should say, that came out last week. Inflation down 2.8%, which is great. Although food was 9%, and
I was going to say I haven't seen my grocery bill go down.
No, the grocery bill is not going. No, the grocery bill is not slowed down. Yeah. Okay, grocery bill is still terrible. It's still terribly high. I am obviously somebody who likes to eat, so and restaurant bills high. It's funny. Mrs. Mortgage Guy said the other night, "What's going on here?" She said, "Like, is every meal for two in a restaurant $100?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's it. Every place, like, wait, not at McDonald's, not at Burger King.
You know what? I went to freaking McDonald's with my son and my mom, and I think my sister before a hockey tournament. I'm like, and they were coming for me. So I'm like, oh, I'll get it. I think it was $60.
$60 for 4 people at McDonald's. What the fuck? Okay.
So a nice dinner for two is at least $100.
Not even that nice. I mean, 200. Yeah, 200 for nice. For nice, a couple of glasses of wine, whatever, drink. But like just a meal, just like a appetizer and simple in a simple restaurant and maybe one drink. You cannot escape for less than $100, $120. It's impossible.
My God, I say 100's low.
Yeah,
I would say 100's low.
So that's really fucked up inflation. That's really fucked up. By the way, in big cities like big urban areas like the Vancouver area, the GTA, Toronto, Greater Toronto area, these poor restaurants are just hammered by high leases too. Like their rent expense has gone way up hugely.
I know.
Hugely up. And by the way, the shortage in labor that we keep hearing about, how there's a buoyant jobs market, that means you've got to pay. And by the way, I'm okay with paying these restaurant people who work in a restaurant, cooks, chefs, waiters, wait people. I mean, I'm fine with paying them more money.
Wait staff still make less than minimum wage.
Absolutely. Well, they do. Hopefully the tips work out for them, but still it's low. But here's the deal. Everything's up, and particularly food cost is up. And, if you say that inflation, Krista Freeland, the finance minister in Canada, said, we got a victory. Look at this inflation coming down. And I pat myself on the back. Fuck no, that's ridiculous. Okay. Because everybody eats. everybody eats. Like some eat more than others. Like this fat bastard eats more than others. But at the end of the day, everybody eats. Those prices are not even leveling off. They're not leveling off. Like officially, they're 9%. Mm-hmm. That's fucked up. 9%. I mean, that's some things are way, way up. We could go on and on, but that is it's not easy on people, and it's not easy on people who have a. If you had a big time family income, I guess it's fine. If you own a house and you have a great mortgage rate, left over from, 2 years ago, and you've got a 1.89 rate and fixed, and you're feeling good and things are good. Maybe those people are happy, but a lot of other people, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about politicians, this was an odd week for politicians. We had Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, decides he runs out last week, a few days ago. He runs out his idea of, we're going to give people mortgage subsidies. If you're in trouble on your variable rate mortgage, it's gone up too much, government should subsidize you. Well, that's just fucking nuts, okay? Like, first of all, he knows it's nuts. First of all, he knows it's just bullshit, okay? He knows there's never going to be mortgage subsidies. Never going to happen, okay? But just say it. Just say it. And that's the reflection of how completely wrong our politics has become. That political leaders just say shit they know is totally false, never going to happen. Just throw it out there. Yeah. I would do this, okay?
How would that even work?
There was at one point in Spain where the government did a little bit of mortgage subsidies because that was back in 2008, 2009. And they just, when rates went through the roof, they just supported some people. That's the world financial crisis. They did support some people with some grants that didn't go for long, but it's so crazy. I mean, first of all, how do you pick who to give the subsidy to, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. If you didn't have a variable rate, if you have a low fixed rate that you got 2.5 years ago, and it's 1.89, and you're happy with your payments, because somebody picked a variable rate and they're getting destroyed, they get money from the government? What? Jesus H. Christ.
And they picked the variable rate because it was 0.99 and you were paying 1.99. Exactly. So they saved for all that time.
They decided that they saved money for a while and then it went wrong. Oh my God. So Jagmeet Singh, shout out Jagmeet Singh. Stop saying stupid shit. Okay. There's a lot of things, by the way, there's a lot of things that, the NDP have got great ideas on. They pushed, the Liberals and the NDP pushed through childcare benefits for moms who get back in the workforce.
That's a worthy
thing. That's a worthy thing. It's a great thing. So
yes.
I'm not against everything that comes out of their mouths, but I particularly hate it when they say stuff that they just know is utter bullshit. I'm going to see if I can grab some votes here, maybe. Okay,
yeah,
because that idea just made no sense.
Is it an offside thing to say home ownership is not a right? It's a privilege.
Well, no. It's not a right. It's absolutely not a right. It's absolutely not. It should be a right, and it is. It really should be. But home ownership. But here's the deal. With home ownership, we've got to be careful that when it really was extremely available 25 years ago, highly available 20 years ago, you could do it. The prices were lower. There wasn't this huge gap.
Houses would be listed for months.
Yeah. So what we've got to realize is the people behind, it's not just magic that caused the price of houses in British Columbia and Ontario to go batshit crazy. Okay. No. It wasn't magic. There were lots of things governments were involved with: super low interest rates, mass immigration, astronomical numbers of new Canadians.
Yes.
There's a bunch and disincentives to build. If you had a hopeless municipal politics that meant you could never get a proper permit, took you right to this day, 26, 28 months in Toronto to get a permit for a brand new build. Okay. By the time you submit your application, it's all just nuts. That's government. Government did all those things. Okay. Government kept interest rates ridiculously low for way too long, for 12 years. And this is the outcome of that crazy period of time.
I'm still, sorry, this is a side note. I'm still flabbergasted by the COVID market. I couldn't hang out with my family or go see my friends. I had to line up at the grocery store and be let in 5 at a time.
Yep.
But I could willy-nilly book an appointment and walk through a stranger's home.
Yep. Like the one thing that you have to say is, by the way, here's one. In the province of Ontario, certain obvious industries were exempt, right? Like if you were involved in the food, creating food, bakeries, grocery stores, all of the truckers who have to get the food back and forth to people. There's many exempt industries, but here's a couple of other weird exempt industries. Everything to do with real estate was exempt.
Yeah,
you could work, okay, and everything to do with mortgages and finance was exempt. Mortgage brokers could just keep on going, like do whatever the hell you want.
Well, because they had to.
You can even go to your office. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That was so on all dry cleaners. Like some of the stuff I'd never understood, but so yeah, a lot of weird stuff, and that's when the final unbelievable hump in
during COVID, nobody else had it. All we could do was drink and buy houses.
Yeah, buy houses. Yeah, we could have food delivered.
LCBO was raging.
The LCBO never closed for a minute.
Not one.
It didn't even change its hours.
I think they did. I think they elongated the hours.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was more available. Booze was more available. Yes, but like unbelievably low interest rates. When people were stuck in homes, couldn't go out, so they thought, I need a bigger house. I'm here with my kids. I need a bigger house. So we had an emotional motivation to have bigger homes. We had the idea that maybe I'll work from home forever, so I can buy far away. But I want to buy. I can't stand everybody who was sitting in every couple who had to find out just how small a 520 square foot condo was, found out pretty fast.
It's very
how
small.
small it is. I have to be here forever, all 24/7. And all of a sudden, real estate blew up. Interest rates were super low, and we see the effects to this day. And they ain't good effects either. Let me tell you, they're ugly. Okay, but it's slow. So, will there be people leave the mortgage and real estate industry if this is a very slow fall? Yes, they will. If it's a slow autumn,
still got to eat.
People have to make changes for sure.
Once you have your license, it doesn't mean you just have your license. There's continuing education. There's
you got to pay
board costs, especially in real estate. Just to be on the board is costly.
Look, nothing is as cheap as mortgage, though. Mortgage is the cheapest profession to be in by far. It's you can be a mortgage agent. First of all, you can start investigating it on Monday and pass an exam in 2.5 weeks.
I did mine in a week.
Yeah. So
Will mentioned to me on the Thursday. I was registered by the Thursday, went to the class on the Monday, and I had my license by the Friday.
Well, if you passed the exam, so you still got to get approved by FSRA, and that's and if you're very if it's
but that was quick.
Yeah, because it's super clean resumes. Yeah, boom, you're approved. So you can become for like $800 plus the course fee is maybe like another $300. The FSRA fee is maybe $800, maybe it's $1,000. A couple of years ago it was $800. I think it's up now, but you can tell when a company pays your license fee, you don't really pay attention.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is either.
Let's say to get your license all in, $1,400. Join a brokerage. You got to pay for the E&O insurance, the errors and omissions insurance, and you might have, and that's the only definite requirement. That might be another $500 or less. And for under $2,000 from zero, that's
for your year.
You weren't sure, but you were but before you started, you weren't exactly sure how to spell mortgage. Like there might have been a J in there instead of a
silent
G.
J.
Like silent J or something. Like you might not know how to spell mortgage.
It's like
and
jalapeno.
$2,000 later, you was one.
Yeah,
you was in the mortgage business. Okay, so
they've made licensing for real estate much harder.
Yeah, and
much harder. Thank God.
And that's a good thing. I think eventually we'll have a tighter licensing regime in
it just
the mortgage
needs to
business.
be. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just needs to be. If you think of some professions, like you said, in your case of realtors, the cost has gone way up, and looks like it'll continue to go up. And you got other professions. To become a financial planner, it's big. It's goddamn big. Okay?
College, no?
Well, it's a lot of courses. It's a ton of courses. It's tough exams. Like, for instance, on the mortgage exam, I frankly know of no one who can read English or French that doesn't pass. Like if you don't pass the mortgage exam.
The first one, the mortgage agent.
The mortgage agent course, yeah. If you don't pass that exam, I got a pretty definitive belief that you can't really read English or French.
Okay.
Not really. Okay. Not in any adequate way. Okay. Because it's like a 97% pass rate. Okay.
Yeah.
Much, much tougher financial planning. Real
estate was always tougher than mortgage.
Always.
There was
much tougher.
When they brought in the phases, there's the 3 phases, but you could operate after phase 1 and then you had time to get your other stuff done and this and that. But now it's a full-blown college course.
So am I angry about how easy it is to get in the mortgage business?
Should be.
It's always been this way. So after decades, the anger burns out of you. Okay, it just does. I mean, like you be mad about it, but at the end of the day, you can't fix it. Okay, mm-hmm. Now someday it'll be tougher. Okay, and maybe people say, well, why is it so easy? Well, it's easy because in days gone by, and not so much today. Today we have a much broader scope of products, and
mm-hmm.
private mortgage work is probably 10 times bigger than it was 25 years ago.
Well, they're unveiling that private mortgage certification.
Yeah, that certification is coming up. But I mean, will it necessarily hold too many people back? Because they could just, within their own office, they could just, if they don't have the private mortgage designation, they can just refer it to somebody in their office who does. Okay.
It's true.
But look, I mean, here's the thing. For so many years, almost all the mortgage brokers did was with financial institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So quite frankly, they were the ones who were the gatekeepers. They were the ones who were in charge of whether anybody got a mortgage or not. And so it sort of made sense that it wasn't unbelievably difficult. You could give people the right advice, and you must.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the true decision resided with lenders, banks, big financial companies, and they could be as tough as nails, and they were the guardians of the money. So basically, you just had to have a certain degree of understanding of how their products worked.
Mm-hmm.
And the products were fantastically simpler years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can sort of see how it developed, but here's the deal. It's got to change. How it's got to change is more responsibility in the mortgage brokerage area.
Definitely.
More responsibility that we know that you cannot lead, borrowers down the wrong path.
No, and I think there should be fines. If you put a borrower in a certain situation that hurt them, ultimately, say whether it would be fraud or whatever would have you, there should be some sort of fine and penalty for that.
So hard to prove. It's so hard to prove those things today because everybody, the realtor did it, the consumer did it, I'm innocent. So at the end of the day, I look toward things getting better because, and here's why they're probably going to get better, because mortgages are going to get harder to get.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole other show, but we'll talk about that in another show. But mortgages are going to become harder to get.
Well, they already are.
But it's going to get harder next year. It's going to be harder to get for particularly if you want to own more than one property. It's going to get really hard. Okay, I believe. I think we're going to see it. I'll explain why in another show. But so that will mean there'll be far less people in the mortgage industry than there are today.
Well, yeah, it has to be
less.
Thinned out though. It's over
30% less, and basically only the most crooked and the good ones will survive. But I mean, and again, we've talked about it 100 times. There's a way to fix mortgage document fraud in this country. It's very easy, very simple. Direct linkage to CRA for just one number. Line 15,000 on your NOA. That's all. Don't need to see your tax return. This is the simplest fix in the world. Krista Freeland, Peter Rutledge, fix the fucking mortgage fraud. Fix the income document fraud. It's so simple. Still haven't done it and don't talk about it. That's all fucked up. You got to fix that. You got to do it. So one of the things that, this is funny because sometimes people on other kinds of social media that I'm on, they'll say to me, well, you're a mortgage guy. Why do you talk about rental so much? Why do you talk about it?
Because they go hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty simple.
They say, you're no authority on rental. You don't know what it is. You're not rental guy. You're not tenant guy. You're mortgage guy. So why the fuck do you think you know anything about it? Well, first, let's admit it. Who the fuck who's got a mortgage or bought a house didn't start as a tenant?
Well, there's certain people that just got handed the money or handed the house. But what is that? Like 2%?
Sure, that's
2,
like 2%.
maybe 3?
Not, who knows? 2 or 3% of people. 2 or 3% of people were living at home with their parents, and their parents says, here, now that you've got a job, let me give you enough money for down payment. You can get a house, whatever you want. Yeah. Like, that's a tiny, tiny number. I know personally, I can say that of the people I know, I don't really think I know anybody who went hey, move out from parents into your own home that you bought. Do not pass go. No, I don't know. Fuck all of those people. I don't know anybody.
Who did that? Okay. I think my sister did that.
Yeah, lucky sister. Okay.
Well, the parents didn't. My parents, she just was a saver.
Really big saver? Yeah.
Oh, huge.
Huge saver?
Yeah.
Okay, good for her.
She's a saver.
Prices might have been a little different back then, too.
It's probably 8-10 years ago.
Okay, well, good for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, few and far between. So the reason I talk about tenants and rents and how phenomenally difficult it is in British Columbia and Ontario in the rental market. And by the way, Calgary, shout out to Calgary. You guys are catching up. Oh. Calgary and Alberta is experiencing the highest population growth since I think 1912.
Well, because we're fucking full.
Well, we're full, and the immigration is high, and the house prices, particularly outside of Calgary, but Calgary is still cheaper than anything available in BC and in Ontario. But it's some of it's really well priced. Like if you think about Edmonton in particular, it's like 1/3 the cost of Ontario and British Columbia. And by the way, they're advertised. Did you see they advertised for it? Like, hey, Ontario people, BC people, you're fucked. You should come here. You get everyone. Yeah, cost of living is like so much better. You can own a home here. Come to Alberta bound. Get in here. Okay.
I only stream reality TV, and I stream it on. I don't see commercials.
You don't see commercials.
Very rarely.
You just are the living.
If it doesn't involve a housewife,
you are the living authority on 90 Day Fiancé is you. Okay, yeah.
No, I'm more so Real Housewives.
Real Housewives.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Vanderpump Rules is huge right now.
Oh my God, Vanderpump Rules. I like it.
Scandival.
I just got to tell you, honestly, all those shows, Vanderpump.
Didn't I make you go to the Vanderpump Gardens in the Caesar's Palace? I made you guys go.
I think we walked by it, but like the Vanderpump 90 Day Fiancé, like I'm not afraid to say it. And for all you people out there who love those shows, I hate those fucking shows. Like
that's what I put on when I want Ron to get the fuck out.
Hate those fucking shows. Okay, really
you guys
bad.
Want to watch some TV? Here you go.
Oh my God, just the worst. Okay, but yeah, no, Alberta is jumping. I think we're talking about 4.6% annual increase in population, which is unbelievable.
That is big.
You go to a lot of countries, the population shrinks. Japan, it gets less every year. Italy gets less every year. The birth rates are near zero, but Alberta, like 4.6 is just wild. Mm-hmm. And, Calgary rents are up. They are way up from where they were 2 years ago.
Because that's what happens. You have more people, more demand, the money goes up.
100%. So all across country. So why do I think about it? Because 98% of the people who have a mortgage and own a home, at one point in time, they started as renters.
Correct.
Okay? So if we are now abusing tenants and the rents are so fucking high that no one can save for down payment. How the fuck are you going to save for down payment?
Well, really, what's realistically? So let's go average rent for, let's say, a townhouse.
Sure.
Say, depending on the area, between $2,800 and what, $3,500?
Or if it's a really nice townhouse, it could be through the roof. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So let's use $3,000 as a benchmark. How much is that per year?
It's $36,000.
$36,000.
By the way, you pay all the utilities.
And plus all the utilities. Yeah. And say you make $70,000 a year, which is a decent living.
Yeah, but you can't even afford to live in that place.
No.
Okay. Now let's assume it's family. Let's do simpler math, like it's family income. It's $140,000. Mm-hmm. That's taxed, folks. Yeah. So you're going to end up with and CPP and EI. So you're going to end up with something like $105,000 or $106,000 on $140,000, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But $36,000. No, what did we say? 3,500. That's 36 grand. Like I said, you said $3 grand. Okay?
Yeah, I think we said $3.
$3 grand. Okay, $36,000.
We're being generous.
Plus utilities, because it's a townhouse, right?
Yeah.
This isn't a condo and some things are covered. This is you pay everything.
Yeah.
You pay every goddamn thing. Okay, so let's call that 40 grand a year, right? Okay, you only took home like 104. Okay. Maybe less, maybe more, a little tiny bit more, maybe less.
60 grand-ish less.
60 grand-ish less. You got to eat. You got to get back and forth to work, probably. You got to have a car payment. Car payments are through the roof these days. And you know, there's so many things.
God forbid you want to go on a vacation.
Or what if you got to pay your car insurance? What if that goes up? I mean, it's so many things. Like, and by the way, we're assuming that this is just two people. What if they have a couple of kids?
Yeah.
Well, you are fucked. I mean, like, how are you going to make that work? And let's give you that's a townhouse. Okay. And apparently the average 1-bedroom condo in Toronto, like right in the city, is up to like $2,200.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ. How are you going to do effective savings when everybody who rents in southwestern Ontario or in Vancouver or the Fraser Valley, how are you going to effectively save for a big down payment? Because houses are very, very fucking expensive. You need a big down payment. Like, so that's why Mortgage Guy cares about how fucked people are who are renting today.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that brings us to our favorite section of the program.
What the actual fuck?
What the actual fuck is going on in Ontario? Where a family of 5 who has been displaced from their long-term rental. They were living in this rental. This was on CTV National News, by the way.
Wow.
Adrian Gabriel was the reporter behind it. It's a really good story. And they were 10 years in the same house in Newmarket.
Wow.
Okay? Newmarket's a smallish place, about an hour away from, maybe an hour and 10 minutes away from where the Blue Jays play baseball downtown Toronto. But it's far out, but it's still expensive. Everything is expensive, Southwestern Ontario. It's very expensive. So these people, according to the landlord, they're moving back in after 10 years.
Which is bullshit.
It is bullshit, right? Like, that's your experience. It's total bullshit. Okay. But that once they announce it, then you got to do something. You got to, they can force you out.
Well, and that's
eventually.
the thing. Well, you can, if they don't move, they don't move in, you can take them to the landlord and tenant board, this and that. Guess what? In the meantime, you still had to pack your shit, go find another place, and it's going to cost you time and money to do that also.
So here's these people, family of 5, 3 kids, all youngish, I think under 12, under 13. And so
that's potentially a life ruiner.
So, and by the way, I mean, for folks out there who rent controls in Ontario, it's really suspicious because if you've been in the same place for 10 years, you are rent controlled. Yeah. Okay. And you can only increase like 2 or 2.5% a year. So all of a sudden, we got to move back in. That's it. Yep, that's it. I thought you lived in this huge house somewhere else. No, we're going to move back in. None of your business where we live, but we're going to move in. I'm telling you. Okay, so it's just to get you the fuck out.
Yeah.
So instead of a 2.5% increase,
it's a 50%.
A 50% increce. Because
depending on what you started paying 10 years ago.
Because that's where we're at today. Huge rents. Okay. So on a house, we talked about the townhouse. On a house, it's like between $4,500. A detached house is like $4,500, $5,000. Right?
Oh yeah.
That's like a not special place. Okay. So here are these people. They know they got to pay $4,500 or $5,000. They're willing. They're willing. They, for whatever reason, they're not buyers. I'm not going to explore every aspect of their existence.
Well, there's many factors why you need to stay in the same area, or you just can't buy, or this and that. Especially, it has a lot to do with the area. Yeah,
and as we've talked about just earlier in the broadcast, people don't want to switch school districts. It's really important for some people. Super important.
Well, yeah, when you have kids under the age of 13 and just coming into they've got a solid friend group, this and that. Now all of a sudden you're moving to a completely different city. And
you might have to move way the fucking gone. Yeah. Yes. So if you want to stay in the same neighborhood, same area, same school district, and in a single family detached, because that's what you need for your family. It's big. It's expensive as hell. But here's the wild part.
This is the what the fuck moment.
Nobody would rent to them. Like, they would put in offers. And by the way, you got to put in an offer. You look at the house in the morning, or in the afternoon, you got to put in an offer that night. That's the way it works.
Yeah,
okay?
the rental market's
absolutely
insane.
tight. So they would put in offers, get turned down. And then they started bidding up the offer. So if the offer said we want $4,700 for the house,
They're offering $5,000.
we offer $49,500.
Yeah.
Still got turned down. Okay.
Wow.
Nobody really tells you why you're turned down. I mean, sometimes you can drag it out of them. Yes, we wanted a credit score of 860 and your credit score of 832, which by the way is a crazy good credit score. But like they just make up shit to say say no. Okay. And then it's got to say, well, okay, we'll bid up. Next offer, we're going to bid it up, and we're going to offer 1 year prepaid. 1 year prepaid, big money.
Which, by the way, it's illegal.
It's illegal
for a landlord to ask for it, but a tenant can offer it. That's not illegal. Right. So, but if a landlord demands it, that's a problem.
Illegal. That's illegal. So, so that they still got turned down. Now, sometimes you think about it. Well, why are they getting turned down? Well, I don't know every tiny aspect of their existence, but sometimes I suspect that people just don't want 3 young kids in their house because there's always a little bit more damage with 3 young kids running around, right?
For sure. That's
just the way life goes, okay?
Yeah.
But this is the what the fuck, actual fuck moment. They raised it to 2 years prepaid. We will pay $100,000 up front.
Wow.
Still got turned down. Okay.
Well, the issue of prepaid rent, it's all well and good. So now you've got that large chunk of change. Maybe you're not a responsible individual and you need it to come in monthly installments so that you actually pay the mortgage. I don't know. There's a bunch of things. But
bottom line is, until they finally got a wealthy family member to co-sign, like guarantee everything. Like I guarantee there'll be no damage. I guarantee that everything will be paid. I guarantee that they won't ask for the money back for if they go to the landlord tenant tribunal, ask for the prepayment back. I guarantee everything. They finally got themselves a house, but the torture and the bizarre level of craziness that they had to go through just to get a place to live with their 3 kids, that's fucking nuts. Absolutely fucking nuts.
I'm not even that angry or shocked because we've been seeing this for a while.
Oh, I'm angry. I'm fucking angry about $100,000 prepayment offer and still can't get a house. Like, what the fuck's going on in this province? Okay, what's going on in British Columbia? What's going on in Ontario? How hard does it have to fucking be? Provincial government, fix your fucking landlord and tenant tribunal, because every comment that I ever got from a landlord was, oh, you don't know how hard it is. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. We have to worry about everything. Okay, fix the fucking landlord and tenant tribunal.
It's insane.
So it's effective, efficient, and supports both sides properly, okay? Make sure that landlords feel, yeah, I got rights instead of having no rights. So government, fix this fucking thing. I know I blame government for everything, but I'm blaming them for this shit, okay? And what the fuck must be such a tight supply? There's no fucking houses, no fucking townhouses. There's just 485 square foot condos getting delivered, okay? And what, you gonna put 3 kids in a 485 square foot condo? It's fucking crazy, okay? Yeah. So every time people say, oh, well, there was a good increase in housing starts in last month, says CMHC. Fuck you. I mean, it's a bunch of condo projects. It's a bunch of microscopic townhouse projects. Like, you can't, it's a bunch of condos. It's a bunch of high-rise condos. It's a bunch of dog crates in the sky. That's what's fucking being built. Yeah. That's when you see, like, all of a sudden there's a huge bump in 1 month. That's just a whole bunch of condo people saying you're going to start development. Fucking condos won't even be ready for 6 years, okay? Yeah. And they'll all be 485 square feet. Where the fucking family of 5 going to go into 485 square feet? It's fucking stupid, okay? Yeah. So, yes, it's all wrong. Supply is wrong. Landlord and tenant board is screwed, blue. I mean, it's just the worst of the worst, okay?
Yeah.
So landlords are now fanatical about turning people down for crazy shit. So not enough supply. Landlords are super picky. People need a place to live. It's cold country. Canada, wake up. Ontario, BC, got to do something here. This is crazy. People are offering $100,000 for 2-year prepayment of rent. We're not even talking about...
Just to have somewhere to live.
Oh, by the way, everybody who wants to argue with me that they should buy a house, it's none of our fucking business. Okay, it isn't. And this is a bad example. This is a bad example because it's such an awful amount of money. But everywhere, renters are stressed.
Yes.
If they get pushed out of their house, they're terrified in Ontario and British Columbia. They're terrified. They get pushed out of their apartment. They get pushed out of their townhouse. They get pushed out of their home because they know it's going to be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And that is not a way to run a fucking country.
And then even as you go through that nightmare, and then who's to say you don't have to do it again in a year, 2 years?
And then you're out again.
Yeah, then you're out again.
Like,
because the market picks back up in 2 years, and then everyone just dumps their shit. It's so crazy.
We got to build so many new houses.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for... by the way, here's something I want to tell everybody. Push the fucking subscribe button. Like,
Yeah.
fucking push it. God damn it. Okay? Like, hey, guys are, oh, yeah, I like this podcast. I can't be bothered subscribing. Fuck you. Press the goddamn subscribe button. Okay? Like, that's what counts in the podcast world. Push the fucking subscribe button. Do it now. Okay. Angry Mortgage out for now. Back next week. We're going to have an interesting show about new construction and how that all works and how you have to think about getting your mortgage pre-approved, all that. Interesting show next week. Thanks for tuning in. And subscribe, fuckers! Push that subscribe button. Okay. Good night.
Bye.
If you like the pod, well, don't just sit there. Go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and all the other ones and like the pod. And don't forget to subscribe so we can keep being angry at mortgages and swearing about mortgages. Angry Mortgage could use your support.